Welcome to Smoketown On Air, the podcast for families, students, teachers, and members of the Smoketown Elementary School community of Conestoga Valley School District, Lancaster, PA. Stay tuned to catch all the latest school happenings, events, and opportunities. Hear from the Smoketown faculty and staff, and learn tips and strategies to help your child succeed. Now, here's the host.
Hi, my name is Bo Miller. Thanks for tuning in to this first ever episode of Smoketown On Air. With this show, we want to help you get better acquainted with and connected to Smoketown Elementary School. This show is for all members of the Smoketown community, including students, parents, families, and staff. In each episode, you'll hear a brief news segment that will update you on events and happenings, followed by an interview with a teacher, staff member, or someone else of interest. Then, finally, you'll hear about a resource available to the Smoketown community. Thanks again for tuning into the show. Now, here's Mr. Dominic Panza.
This is the Smoketown calendar of events, keeping you informed on important dates to remember for upcoming happenings at Smoketown. The Smoketown Family Day here at school with your students is February 6th. Tuesday, the teachers will invite their family groups in to celebrate another family day. Don't forget, All Pro Dads is the next day, February 7th at 7:30 a.m. Arts and Hearts Night is Friday, February 9th from 6 until 8. Students are off on February 16th and 19th for the President Day holiday, and a Spirit Day will be celebrated on February 28th. All students and staff are encouraged to wear pajamas. Just a reminder, here at Smoketown, you can listen to the whole school read aloud, Wonder, through the library Schoology page. This has been Smoketown Calendar of Events, keeping you informed and up to date on important happenings here at Smoketown.
For the interview portion of today's show, we have the privilege of bringing you a conversation with Smoketown third grade teacher and PTO president, Ms. Molly Dougherty. In this conversation, you'll hear about the teachers who inspired Ms. Dougherty to teach, a great book she finished this past summer, what she loves about the Smoketown community, and more. Without any further ado, here's Ms. Dougherty. Molly, thanks so much for being on the show today.
I am happy to be here.
Who or what inspired you to become a teacher?
You know, I really have to think about that question because it's hard to pinpoint one teacher. But as I reflected on them all, the one common theme was that I was always more in tune to the teachers that weren't afraid to ask, well, why not? Well, sure, you can try it that way. Or, you know, the ones that inspired me to try something new or push me out of my comfort zone. And plus, I really liked the teachers that they weren't rebels, but they weren't afraid to go against the grain sometimes. And I think that kind of explains my personality as well. So I think that that catered to my strengths is, all right, well, I'm not going to be like everybody else. I'm going to try something a little bit my way and see how it comes out. And I had a lot of teachers that pushed me to go that route. So I appreciated that. So a whole bunch of them along the way for sure.
Do you have one memory in particular? I mean, I'm sure you have several, but does anything stand out as like, yeah, that was a time where like, this is something I want to do?
I can think of some ridiculous projects along the way when we used to do these elaborate like museum days, you know, in elementary school, or you had to do some type of presentation, and one of my friends and I decided that we needed to bring in her live sheep to be a part of our presentation of this colonial America. I don't even remember what the whole unit was, but it ended up downpouring that day. And her dad still brought the sheep. And if you know anything about their fur, it's like a great big sponge. And so here comes this sheep through the front lobby of the building and into our large group room. And it's leaving droppings behind him as it goes. But, you know, my teacher never discouraged the idea of a live sheep coming in. I mean, she probably didn't realize that it would rain and it's an animal from a farm. But, yeah, I just, along the way, it was just kind of pushing the envelope, trying to make it bigger, better, what's going to make me different, what's going to make my project stand out. I just remember we brought the sheep. Oh, that poor teacher.
Mrs. Dougherty, aside from having the opportunity to be the rebel teacher that you'd like to be,
yeah.
What do you love most about the work that you do here at Smoketown?
Oh, I think the work that we all do here at Smoketown is definitely something special because we all feel loyal to one another. And I think a sense of community. And when we have the kids come into the building every day, they're our kids. Everybody's saying good morning to everybody, not just their own students. I think specifically here at Smoketown, that's what I love about our work here. I hate to see the kids come and go. I want them all to stay from kindergarten all the way up so they can experience our whole entire staff. But when we have them here with us, I think they're pretty lucky. And then we're lucky to be working together here at Smoketown.
What's your favorite Smoketown memory?
I was trying to pinpoint that one as well because I have many. They're usually the rebellious ones that I remember the most with colleagues. One in particular is actually just prior to coming to Smoketown. I remember after my first year teaching at Brownstown, I remember receiving the news in person from the superintendent that I was going to be moving to Smoketown. And I remember I was never nervous about it. I think because I had some connections over here, and it was family from day one. So I vividly remember the day that I found that I would be coming to Smoketown and working in third grade, where I've been since, happily. And I can't pinpoint one specific moment, but I'll never forget the moment I found out that I would be working here.
Well, that's something I appreciate about you, Miss Dougherty. I feel like you promote that family feel and really
thank
connect a
you.
bunch of people. So I think that's a fitting memory.
Thank you.
You're listening to the Smoketown podcast with Molly Dougherty and Bo Miller, Dominic Panzer. We're going to shift gears a bit now, not talking about you getting into teaching or memories, but more so what you think the families within Smoketown need to know. What resources do you think families that are sending their students here need to know about?
Well, one promo I'm going to put out there is Dr. Bredeman has a Twitter account, and I think if we would push anything right now, would be her. I said, I'm going to promote her Twitter feed. She's new to the game, and I think that if we increase her followers and then end up retweeting her tweets, that we could spread news a lot faster. So I think putting the word out there for Dr. Bredeman Twitter account.
That's a great resource. I'm going to have to check that out because I don't think I've ever even looked at it yet.
Well,
I didn't know she had a Twitter account.
I think she's almost at 100 followers. So
pretty good.
We could push her over that 100 crest if you follow her and I follow her, and we'll see.
She'll be approaching celebrity status.
Celebrity status for sure.
Coming back around to you, Miss Dougherty, what's the best book you read this past year?
I actually went into summer completely different last year. I usually research like the top children's literature books so then I can stock up my own library or do some read alouds with my students. And last summer I didn't. I actually looked for a book for me, and I landed on The Art of Possibility, and it's by Roz and Ben Zander. They're a husband and wife, and their book is all about professional and personal transformations and how you can approach every day, really. And they teach you a lot about what's possible based on what you can do for yourself and how you can change your own thinking about things. It was a little bit of a deep read. I had to take it pieces at a time and underline and highlight, almost like I was in a college class. But I find myself going back to that book and rereading the short stories that they shared in order to teach a message. The biggest one, I think, and I shared with the faculty at one of the first meetings of the year, just that we all have the power to ignite fire or light in somebody else. So if you can always carry that inside of you, then you can always ignite it in somebody else. And not necessarily everybody else, but some people are looking for that spark, and they're not always good at setting it themselves. But if you can be that spark for somebody, then you never know what could happen, which is the art of possibility. So I highly recommend it. And there's a second book after it, which I haven't touched yet because the school year has begun. But it's sitting on my nightstand waiting for summer. So definitely a great read. Slow read with short stories, but really good.
That's a powerful message.
That's pretty deep. Sorry.
I was feeling all goosebumpy when you shared that.
Oh. Well, sometimes we all need to hear messages in a different way to get a little inspired. So
Sure.
That's a great book. It's a great book.
I think I speak for all of our colleagues where we appreciate you being a teacher here within the district. But if you're supposed to think outside of that, what would you be doing if you weren't a teacher here at Smoketown?
You know, I have a couple different things. It's kind of a hodgepodge. Recently, I think I would love to be a travel agent because they've got great work perks where you can just travel all over the place. I also love sports. And when I'm watching ESPN, I think, man, I would love to be that woman on the sidelines, just asking some players some questions. So I could be like a commentator. And then there are times where I really enjoy cooking, and I think, would I want to be a chef? Probably not. Doesn't really have a perk. But travel agent or sports commentator, I think either one of those, even though they're very separate, they're not really connected.
Right. In that order, and then cook being number 3?
Cook would be kind of like for entertainment of friends. That's way too stressful. A chef.
Right.
I worked in a restaurant when I was a teenager, and yeah, again, it just comes back to food.
One final question for you. What's something that you think every student that comes through Smoketown should learn?
I think every student at Smoketown should learn empathy for others. I think it's important for them to see the world outside of themselves. And yes, we're talking about children, but children don't have a lot of filters. We know they're very, very honest. And I think if we teach them right away how to handle new situations or situations where they might see somebody that looks different or acts different than themselves, I think if we teach them what all of that means and how it's okay to have certain thoughts in our head and how to handle those feelings, I think we can not just continue with their empathy that they have, but then also just lead them down the right path to spread the word of empathy for others as they get older and what they do after they leave Smoketown.
I think that's certainly a goal that we all have for the students here. It's one of the goals of reading the book as a school wonder right now, because it's a positive and another strong message here shared by Mrs. Dougherty with us on today's podcast.
Thanks again for being on the show today.
I am so happy to be here with you guys. I'm excited about the new Smoketown podcast.
This episode's community resource to highlight is our Smoketown Principal's Twitter account. As Ms. Dougherty mentioned, Dr. Bredeman is posting photos of students and staff in action and sharing information and events that you won't want to miss. To check out the Smoketown Elementary Twitter feed, visit the Smoketown website and scroll to the bottom of the page. Or on Twitter, search for the handle @SmoketownLM. That's the @ followed by Smoketown, ELEM, and it's all one word. Well, thanks again for listening to this inaugural episode of Smoketown On Air. We sincerely hope you enjoyed it, and we're looking forward to connecting with you next time.
Thanks for listening to Smoketown On Air. Make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out on future episodes. And if you enjoyed the show, please take a moment to leave a review on iTunes. Go Smoketown!